First of all, holy shit, this movie is amazing. You're making your directorial debut. This is a fantastic film. I was here for the MMA, but I was captivated by the human story of this. And this wasn't originally something you were going to direct, and it wasn't even written for you. But what spoke to you about the character of Pretty Bull Jackie Justice and the film Bruised?
Well, I love MMA. I've been a fan of the fight game from boxing to MMA forever. So right away, and I love a good boxing story, a good fight story, that underdog, that, feeling of people finding redemption. Like that always makes me feel good. And I relate to it. But Jackie Justice, I loved the fracturedness of all of these characters. They were all broken and all struggling to survive and sort of put their pieces back together and be the best versions of themselves. And I love deep, broken characters. I think they're very human. And I think most people can relate to these characters. We've all been fighting for something, and we win, we lose, we make mistakes. We all are looking for forgiveness at some point or some time. And I thought they were just relatable people.
Absolutely. Halle, I was extremely impressed by the MMA action in this film. I think this is the best MMA I've ever seen on screen to date so far. I wanted to ask you, how did you approach that? Because how do you balance that action and directing at the same time while being in the scene?
Yeah, that was a challenge, but I knew the best thing I could do for myself was to spend the time doing the work. So I did spend probably over 2 years just training, learning all these disciplines, getting as good as I possibly could so that these things really were set in my body, because I knew when it came time to shooting, I would have so many pressures and so many things to worry about that I had to have these different forms of martial arts clearly, solidly in my body. And that training proved to be really detrimental when I came time to shoot.
Speaking of that training, Valentina was saying that you guys did like a real like MMA camp as you were training for a fight. And she even said that, I believe it's the 4th round, that she used some of the MMA that she actually used in the actual fight that she had. Can you talk to me about the training process? Because look, you're used to being in great shape for so many of these action movies, but this is something completely different. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, this was all the way different. I pushed myself further than I even thought I could go, to tell you the truth. And to train with the champion, to be in there with the reigning champion who's at the top of her game. Like, it was such an honor for me to learn from her, and she took the time and she would go over it and over it and over it, and to just fight with her, to spar with her. Like you learn really quickly, what to do and what not to do. And she was so sweet and so kind and gracious, and she had to learn how to movie fight, I say, and I had to learn how to fight. So we felt like we were in this thing together, and we became really good. I mean, I just love her to death. We became such good. You go through a camp together, you become really tight, really quickly.
Now, Sheila plays your trainer, Budokan, and she is brilliant in this film. Can you talk to me about what she brought to the role that wasn't necessarily on the page?
Well, I knew that this character had to be an otherworldly type figure. It had to be someone that just walked into the room and the molecules in the room would just change somehow because they had such a presence. And so when I saw Sheila's audition tape, that happened to me. I thought I stopped breathing. I was like, oh my God, this is the embodiment of what I had in my mind. She was like the most beautiful gazelle, but her acting was seamless. It was subtle. It was so real that she was the first character that I knew I had to cast.
Now, by the end of this film, I had a tear in my eye and I wanted to hug every single mom I could possibly find. The MMA element is brilliant in this, and the action is amazing, but the human element is why I stayed. What are you hoping people take away from Bruised?
I hope they take away that, we all have a right to be forgiven. We can all find redemption. We can have second chances, last chances, other chances, and that we all have the right to put our pieces back together, that we're all fractured and we're all broken. And psychologically, we can put ourselves all back together. And it's only over when we say it's over.
Absolutely. Look, I can't wait to watch this movie again. Brilliant job. Again, best MMA action I've ever seen on screen. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh my gosh.